Where we left off was Charles Vallow had been shot. Now, Adam Herbert actually sends or shares the fact that the police were kind of suspicious when they began CPR on Charles. They started doubting that Alex Cox had ever tried to perform CPR. They did not see any residue, any type of liquids coming from his body until the emergency aid come and they began CPR. Interestingly, Chad Daybell is very interested in helping Lori take care of the problem, Charles Vallow, which is making arrangements of what is done with him now that he's gone. Around 8 p.m. that evening, Chad calls a funeral home for Lori.
Third right answer.
Funeral home?
Hello, my name is Mr. Calls. How can I help you today?
We just had a death in the family, and we really don't want anything but a cremation, and then to send the cremains to a family in Louisiana. Just a simple, nothing other than a cremation and sending him to the family for a service in Louisiana. So, is there any way to know a ballpark price on that?
Yes, and I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Okay, let me transfer you over to the director who can assist you with the pricing. What is your name, please?
It is Chad Daybell.
How do you spell the last name, please?
D-A-B-A-L, Daybell.
How are you related to the person who passed?
I'm his nephew.
And then also, this is for the Valley of the Sounds in Chandler, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, he lives there in Chandler. I live in Iowa, so I'm just trying to help out.
Oh, okay, thank you. Yes, what is your uncle's name for reference, please?
He is John Daybell.
And last name?
Well, D-A-B-A-L.
And
His name, John.
do you have a middle name?
Myron.
M-Y-R-O-N?
Yeah.
And Chad, what is your phone number in case we get disconnected?
This number, 515, I don't actually know my own. Let me look real quick.
Thank you. Thank you. Is he at a nursing home, hospital, or residence?
He passed away in a hospital. I don't know the details. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, it's just for, to know, because sometimes it's different if it's a residential or hospital or nursing home.
I'm thinking they're sending him to the medical examiner. I'm not sure. I should have had more information before I called it.
Oh, that's okay. Alright, cremation with shipping. To which city?
New Orleans. Louisiana.
Okay, last moment please, Chad, stay on the line. Let me transfer you over to the director who can assist you with that.
Alright.
Thank you. Hello, Chad?
Yeah.
Thank you for holding. I do have the director Clarissa to further assist you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, Female Director with Valley of the Cemetery. I understand that your uncle passed away.
Yes. And I'm just starting the process for the family. He didn't have many relatives. I'm his nephew. I live in Iowa. But what they want to do is, yeah, sad to see him go. Yeah, I think he's going to the medical examiner. I don't know all the details, but what the family basically wants is just to have him cremated there in Chandler and then have his cremains shipped to New Orleans. And we'll deal with the service later. So just trying to get a ballpark price.
Okay, so for in cremation, we are able to do our cremation for $1,695. Now what that's going to include is the transportation into our care, the transportation to and from our crematory, our basic professional fees, as well as our crematory fee. Now there's going to be a couple other charges there for you. So we are going to have death certificates, which are $20 a piece with a processing fee. $15 permit fee. And then we're able to do that transfer through the mail for you, and that's $150 fee for you.
Okay. Like UPS or something, I guess.
Okay.
So close about 2,000 probably, kind of a ballpark, I guess.
Close to that.
Okay. Well, that helps me a lot. I'm going to call one or two others, but I'll get back to you if we come that direction. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. If you need anything else, give me a call.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So you have Lori's lover calling a funeral home to look into cremation costs. He lies about his name in a lazy way. He doesn't know his own phone number, which means he's most likely using one of his burner phones. He lies about who he is and where he's at. And it sounds like they don't plan on having any services in Arizona for Charles. We're going to jump back and forth a little bit here. Now, I don't know how long after Charles had passed away, Christina Atwood says that she hears through the grapevine that Charles has died. Now remember, she said something had happened to Charles, she would go to the police. But that doesn't seem to be what she did.
Charles was died? Yeah, which was in our ward. So she's been living out of our ward since she got back. And so I reached out and said, hey, I heard about Charles passing. I'm so sorry. When is there a service? Is there anything I can do to help? And she responded that Charles had never wanted any sort of, he'd been very explicit in saying he never wanted a funeral, but just they were just doing, I don't know if it was a memorial or a burial or something, but there wasn't going to be any service. And I probably tried a couple more times to reach out to her. My friend Nicole, I think she was in the temple and saw Lori and visited with her about what had happened. And her story was that Charles had been there to pick up JJ for school, and that this is all secondhand, of course, this isn't Nicole telling me what she said, but she had said that he left his phone, and when she picked up his phone, she could see a conversation between her brother, Charles, and it seems like there was somebody else, but I can't think of who it was, and that they were planning to kill Lori, that there was a plot that he had taken out a policy in her name, and they were going to split a couple $1 million.
What did you think about that? When you heard that?
Well, I was waiting for there to be some police report about it. Like, okay, so he was trying to kill her. and he was planning to, and her own brother was in on it. And so I expected that there would be some sort of a police statement or something would come up. She told Nicole that she was getting no money that Charles had changed his will, so everything went to his sister, and so that now she was left holding all the finances for their business, which she in the past had talked about, like Charles was a financial planner and how he did really well on his own, but he'd hire people, and so they didn't have their own retirement kind of thing, but they had a lot of debt. And she would talk about how, they were in this big, beautiful house. I don't know if it's Gilbert or Queen Creek, whatever that big house was in, but that it was Charles wanted it for show, and she didn't care if they were living in a small place or in a big place, but he had to have it look a certain way if he was wealthy and doing all kind of thing. But she told Nicole that like she was in debt for all this money, and she was going to have to figure out what to do. And also at the time she told her that she was being kicked out of her house, that people had asked them to vacate.
Oh, really?
And so I was waiting for the police to say that there had been a conspiracy, that they were going to kill her.
Did you think that might happen, having heard what you heard previously?
Yeah, I did think it was possible. That's what had gone down.
So let's jump back to June 9th, this meeting.
Okay.
What else happened at this meeting? I know you guys had dinner, Alex was there. You talked about stuff where you didn't want to talk. What else took place that night?
That's the extent of it. I think it was just her talking about some of her theories and ideas, and
I've often heard, and some people talked about these things, and I guess what they're called is these castings.
Castings, I don't know that.
Where some dark spirits enters, let's say Charles, for instance.
Okay.
Where Lori would have said, well, there's a dark spirit in Charles, and trying to remove that spirit from Charles to be a casting.
Oh, casting out, yeah.
Casting out.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Before so when we first got there, everybody was still fasting, so we went outside of Zulema's house and just stood around, and she said a prayer and prayed for her family, prayed for Charles, and I mean, she was pretty bold in the whole casting out kind of thing, right? And then we broke our fast, and they started talking, and what they were talking about I wasn't okay with, and so...
What, like...
Well, with Alex running off his mouth about...
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, so, describe the casting to me as if I wasn't there. I mean, where was everybody sitting? It was,
we were standing, I think, in the backyard.
Is it like in a circle? Or was it
Yeah, we were all circled around.
Who said the prayer?
I think it was Lori.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was.
And my understanding also, talking to a few people, was that Lori kind of said, well, for instance, I think even Serena, she said, Serena, you're over water. Or...
Oh, yeah. Well... Yeah, there was something.
like Zulema, you're...
That wasn't then, though. That was a phone call.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, that was that night. And Serena wasn't there for that. Serena was only in town once.
Okay. That might have been over the phone.
Yeah.
That happened. Did she ever have that conversation? Did she ever say you're in charge of a certain element? Wind, rain, earth, or anything like that?
But I look at it. But Lori was talking about how she was trying to clear dark spirits from her family and possessed. She had a name for who he was possessed by.
Do you remember that name?
No.
So did she explain?
In fact, it might have been twice. She had two different names. That one of them had left, and there was another one that had come in her belief. But that was later, but like at the end where I was like, okay, this is...
Do you know Ned Schneider?
It could have been that. I couldn't say for sure.
Did she ever talk about the certain levels of spiritual darkness that somebody...
Yes, that was Zulema's. Did that came up? Yep.
Tell me about that. What did she... And was it just her? Did Zolima say something about it, or was it Lori?
No, it was Lori. It was all Lori speaking to what she believed. She believed that there were people that had, I believe it was signed contracts before they came to Earth. Is that right? I think so. And she had in her mind what all us ladies were by some, and I didn't know where she was getting any of this information because there was some references made to a special friend, which later gets determined that's Chad Daybell.
Okay, but she assigned you said she assigned you names, or?
No, not names. Well, no, she just said, I knew all of you ladies before in other lives.
Oh, in a previous life. Okay.
Yes. And her number system was about how many times you've been to Earth.
Okay.
So, when we were at the temple, she talked about how, like, she remembered me from the pre-existence. And she knew me, and that I didn't have any issue believing could be possible. But she also shared in the temple that she'd seen Christ and that she had, she'd had these different visitations. And I'm not going to tell her I doubt her, because if she's saying it, then I'm assuming she has had that visitation of the Savior, right? But it just got weird real fast.
So, tell me, at what point did you think that she's now stepping over and is getting
the day of June? Yeah, well, it was always odd. Like those couple times that I met with her was odd, but it wasn't, in my mind, dangerous. Like, we're studying scriptures and visiting and stuff, and she's excited about what she thinks she knows about stuff, right? But it wasn't like, for me anyway, it wasn't like I was saying, I totally agree with you, or I accept what you're saying. It just, that's what you believe.
Okay. But then on the 9th, everything kind of comes to a head when you hear what you're... When Alex made that comment, did Lori say anything else prior to saying something about the pills, or anything else that kind of stuck out in your mind?
Those were the two things, like that night, that were just, it was all odd. But I had no problem going and fasting for my friend who's concerned about her family. Mm-hmm. But when I go there and it's like this weirdness and they're joking about killing somebody, or, possibly harming them with medicine and stuff, like it was, okay, you just cross this line, we're done. Like, I'm not going to. And I felt really, really impressed that next day as soon as I got done all my work, that I had to go visit her and tell her, like, this is not okay.
That was the last conversation you had with her until you
Other than texting. And I did reach out to her in October because, so it turns out my sister, Ruth, is in Chad Daybell's ward. She lives in Salem.
Oh, really? What's her last name?
Mortensen. So Bob Mortensen, her husband works at PMC. So I think Bob was in the bishopric, and I don't know if Chad was one of the clerks or something.
He might be. Well, Chad would have been the executive secretary maybe at the time.
I don't know. So anyway, so they had interaction. So Lori had mentioned him, but the only time I'd ever met him was at my sister's ward that summer. We went to go grab my brother-in-law, and Chad was in the office, one of whatever the clerk's office is. And
Okay. So sometimes I get Serena and Christina mixed up, guys. I'm pretty sure some of you figured that out. Around this time as well, Charles' sons are calling Charles, but they're not getting any response from their father. He said, I was texting him, and I remember calling him a couple of times the morning that he had gotten shot, and he didn't respond. It was really weird. He usually returns calls and texts relatively fast, so something was off. Charles' ex-wife, Cheryl Wheeler, says she'll never forget how she found out her ex-husband, Charles Vallow, died. Cheryl said that she was in her Austin, Texas home when her 24-year-old son walks into the room. She said, quote, he had literally received a text from Lori saying that his dad was dead. We're shocked. He tried calling her back. He tried texting, but she would not answer. This comes from East Idaho News. As for Colby Ryan, he says his mother called him and told him that Charles had died, but died from a heart attack. Colby's got more answers than Charles' sons. Melanie Boudreaux knew about Charles before Charles' sons really knew. She said that she went to Lori's house and that she went up to Tylee and was like, how are you? In an interview, Melanie says she was so brave speaking about it and was very collected and very mature. I admired Tylee so much for how brave she was. She explained everything, and so did Lori, and so did Alex, and it made sense how Charles had been acting. You're in shock that it went to that extreme, but I'm glad Alex was there to protect Tylee. I hated that Tylee had to go through that, and I know there's been a lot of criticism on how Lori acted afterwards. She's referring to how Lori was smiling. She says she's smiling on camera, and I know when she's uncomfortable, she'll just kind of laugh or smile and try to make light of it. Melanie claims that she does the same exact thing and will defend her aunt by saying that everyone handles stress or shock differently. Melanie then will start making up a bunch of lies. That this is when everything started to get strange. Charles had said all these things in court documents, things I had never heard Lori say. And that's when these strange ideas started flowing around. Lori has always been an active member of the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints. She loves learning, and she spent a lot of time in the temple trying to learn and grow from experiences and trying to feel peace from all the things that had happened in her life. This is important because what Lori focuses on, Lori believes that her life has been a horrible mess, that she's been through so much stuff that most people wouldn't understand. She uses this to draw people in. Anyways, Melanie continued with, Charles, I feel, took it to an extreme with the things that he had said about her. Honestly, I see everything Charles did, like the emails about his life insurance. Charles sold life insurance, and he had his own company. And the texts between people, it almost looked like a setup. It was very alarming to see all these things. So what Melanie Boudreaux is talking about here, I don't know if she didn't think that investigators would find all this stuff. But if she's seen these emails and stuff, she's flat out lying. Charles was concerned about Lori trying to change the insurance. Turns out Lori was very interested in that insurance. We have not seen threats as of right now, at least not yet. We still have Charles Vallow's trial to go through. But Melanie Boudreaux is manipulating people to believe that there's some serious threats going on, and this is why Lori's having to do what she's doing. She doesn't elaborate what the threats are, she just makes them seem like they're life-threatening. Okay, guys, I'm going to pause here. Please make sure that you like the video, subscribe, comment your thoughts below, and don't forget to share our missing girls who continue to go missing. I'm in a hurry today, but I'll see you guys soon. Love ya.